Hello, good day everyone. So this report is presented by Ellen J. Villajos and Randall Vivian Alegrado, and our topic is about the performance measurement in Chapter 14, Part 5, Sustaining Competitive Advantage. So, for our learning objectives, after completing this chapter, you should be able to discuss why managers need to measure and assess the performance of their firms as well as their supply chains, discuss the merits of financial and non financial performance measures, list a number of traditional and world class performance measures, and describe how to design a supply chain performance measurement system. For our chapter outline, we have the introduction, viewing the supply chain as a competitive force, traditional performance measures, world-class performance measurement, supply chain measurement system, the balance scorecard, and the SCOR model or the SCORE model. For the introduction, this chapter discusses the role and importance of performance measurement for both the firm and its supply chains. The old adage you can't improve what you aren't measuring is certainly true to firms as well as their supply chains. In fact, a report by the Confern Board of Strategic Performance Management found that companies using performance measurements were more likely to achieve leadership positions in their industry and almost twice as likely to handle a major changes successfully. While several types of performance measures were discussed and suggested in earlier chapters of this textbook, firms to develop an entire system of meaningful performance measures to become and then remain competitive, particularly when managing supply chains, is one of the imperatives. Performance measurement systems vary substantially from company to company. For example, many firms' performance measures concentrate solely on the firm's costs and profits. While these measures are certainly important, managers must realize that making decisions while relying on financial performance alone gives no indication of the underlying causes of financial performance. Designing standards and then monitoring the many activities or processes indirectly or directly impacting financial performance can provide much better information for decision making purposes. Viewing the supply chain as a competitive force. Traditionally, to meet customer service requirements, firms along the supply chain might simply load their retail shelves, warehouses, and factories with finished goods. Today, though, this strategy would ultimately lead to inventory carrying costs and product prices so high that firms would no longer be competitive. For companies to be successful, customers along their supply chains and the end product users must be satisfied. Thus, firms must invest time and effort in understanding supply chain partner and end customer requirements, and then adjust or acquire supply chain competencies to satisfy the needs of these customers. To obtain the resources to accomplish this task, top managers must become involved and support the firm's improvement efforts. Ultimately, well-designed performance measurement systems integrated among key trading partners must be implemented to control and enhance the capabilities of these firms and thus the supply chain. Next is understanding end customers. As discussed in Chapter 10, companies must make efforts to segment customers based on their service needs and then design production and distribution capabilities to meet those needs. In other words, instead of taking a one-size-fits-all approach to the product design and delivery, firms and their supply chains need to look at each segment of the markets they serve and determine the needs of these customers. So these are the things that companies must look at: customer segment needs, the variety of products required, the quantity and delivery frequency needed, the product quality desired, the level of sustainability sought, and the pricing of products. Obviously, depending on the range of customers the company and its supply chains serve, there will be multiple customer groups and requirements. German company Henkel, for instance, known for its duck brand, the duct tape, provides benefits to customers of retailers like Walmart by designing, branding, and marketing household products as the result of analyzing household buying habits and trends. Henkel uses focus groups, expert advisory panels, and consumer hotline to capture consumer ideas. This way, they can build brand loyalty, provide benefits to their retail customers, and suggest new products to their supply chain partners. Next is understanding supply chain partner requirements. For instance, supply chain responsiveness like meeting due date, lead time, and quantity requirements and providing high levels of customer service can come at a cost. To achieve the desired level of responsiveness, companies along the supply chain must also have to become more responsive, potentially requiring investments in additionally capacity and faster transportation. Likewise, supply chain quality or reliability may require investments in newer equipment, better technology, and higher quality materials and components among participants in the supply chain. Furniture retailer like the IKEA, for example, tries to use environmentally and socially responsible suppliers to better satisfy their retail customers. They have developed a code of conduct using life cycle thinking for their 1,600 suppliers that includes resource use, sustainable forestry practices, and proper employee training. The chapter opening Supply Chain Management in Action feature also provides a discussion of the way the chemical industry is changing to provide better environmental performance to their supply chains. Next, adjusting supply chain member capabilities. Some companies may be well positioned to supply the desired level of cost, quality, and customer service performance, while others may be as well positioned. Matching or adjusting supply chain member capabilities with customer requirements can be a very difficult task, particularly if the communication and cooperation levels among companies are not excellent or if companies are not serving multiple supply chains and customer segments requiring different sets of capabilities. In many cases, a dominant company within the supply chain, for example the Walmart, can use their buying power to leverage demands for supplier conformance to their supply chain requirements. As customer tastes and competition change over time, supply chains can reassess and redesign their strategies for meeting customer requirements and remaining competitive. Use of the internet, for instance, has become a significant part of many firms' competitive strategies, allowing them to offer much greater product variety and convenience than ever before. Next topic is the traditional performance measures. As illustrated above, decisions that are made solely to maximize current stock price doesn't necessarily mean the firm is performing well or will continue to perform well into the future. Business success depends on the firm's ability to turn internal competencies into products and services that customers want while providing desired environmental quality and customer service levels at a reasonable price. Financial performance measures, while important, cannot adequately capture a firm's ability to excel in these areas. Use of organization costs, revenue, and profitability measures. Windfall profits that occur when prices rise due to demand increases and supply interruptions, as has been the case in recent years in the oil industry, are one of the example. When this happens, airlines and other transportation companies suddenly experience much higher costs and reduction in profits, while oil companies see suddenly rising profits. Similarly, many tourist destinations like Las Vegas saw dramatic declines in visitor with volumes during the recent economic recession, causing hotels and theme parks to report much lower occupancies and profits during this period. So these profits or lack thereof were not the result of something the firms did or did not do particularly well. They were caused for the most part by uncontrollable environmental conditions, thus changes and profit statistics may not accurately reflect the true capabilities of the firm. Use of performance standards and variances. When organizations hold managers up to performance standards that then create performance variances, managers can pressured to find ways and to make up their variances, resulting in decisions that may not be in the long-term best interest of the firm. Decisions like producing to make an output quota, regardless of current finished goods inventory levels, or purchasing unneeded supplies just to use up department budgets, are examples of things that can happen when performance standards are applied without considering the true performance benefits to the organization. When applied at the functional level, these standards act to reinforce the idea of functional silos. Departments are then assessed on meeting functional standards instead of optimizing firm or supply chain performance. Use of firm-wide productivity and utilization measures. Overall, total productivity measures such as output divided by cost of labor plus capital plus energy plus material and single-factor productivity measures such as output divided by cost of labor are potentially useful but have the same problems as the use of cost and profits per performance measures. These measures, while allowing firms to view the impact of one of or any number of the firm's inputs, such as the labor such as the cost of the labor and the firm's outputs, such as units produced, do not allow the firm to determine the actual performance of any of the resources behind these elements. Labor and machine utilization can be shown as actual units produced divided by standard output level or actual hours utilized divided by total hours available. These performance measures, when used alone, can encourage the firm, for instance, to reduce labor levels until everyone is overworked, causing queues of work or customers to develop. Moral to suffer and quality and customer service levels to erode. So, this is the productivity measures at the Ultra Sky Emporium. The Ultra Sky company makes top-of-the-line costume snow skies for high-end sky shops, as well as their own small retail shop, and employs 15 people. So, the owner has been adamant about finding a way to increase productivity because his sales have been flat for the past 2 seasons. Given the information shown below, he has calculated the single factor and productivity values as labor productivity is equal to 1,000 skis divided by 10,800 hours is equal to 0.093 skis per labor hour. Then material productivity is equal to 1,000 skis divided by $18,000 is equal to 0.056 keys per dollar of materials. Then least productivity is equal to 1,000 skis divided by $24,000 is equal to 0.042 skis per least dollar. So here are the inputs and outputs from the last year. Skis produced 1,000, labor hours 10,800, and the materials purchased $18,000. Lease payments, $24,000. He calculates their total productivity by multiplying the hours by their average wage of $17 per hour and finds total productivity is equal to 1,000 skis divided by 10,800 times $17 plus $18,000 plus $24,000 is equal to 0.0044 skis per dollar. So the owner figures he can get some great improvements in productivity by finding a low-cost supplier, moving to a cheaper location and laying off 6 workers, reducing his workforce by 40%, making his new single-factor productivity. So the labor productivity now is equal to 1,000 skis divided by 10,800 times 0.6 hours is equal to 0.154 or a 66% increase. For the material productivity is equal to 1,000 skis divided by $12,000 is equal to 0.083 or a 48% increase. And lease productivity is equal to 1,000 divided by $18,000 is equal to 0.056 or a 33% increase. And his new total productivity is equal to 1,000 skis divided by 10,800 times $17 times 0.6 plus $12,000 plus $18,000 is equal to 0.0071 skis per dollar or a whopping 61% increase. Subsequently, the owner decided to make the changes for the coming year. Unfortunately, they went out of business in 6 months due to poor quality materials, a bad location, and overwork, low scale employees. Now let's move on to the next topic, which is the world-class performance measurement systems. Performance criteria that guides a firm decision making to achieve strategic objectives must be easy to implement, understand, and measure. They must be flexible and consistent with the firm's objectives, and they must be implemented in areas that are viewed as critical to the creation of value for customers. An effective performance measurement system should consist of the traditional financial information for competitive reporting purposes along with tactical level performance criteria used to assess the firm's competitive capabilities while directing its efforts to attain other desired capabilities. In fact, in a recent survey of manufacturing and service company executives, the researchers found in firms with successful Lean and Six Sigma programs, there was use of wider variety of both financial and non-financial performance measures. Finally, a good performance measurement system should include measures that assess what is important to customers. These measures will vary by company and through time as strategic changes occur to the firm, its products, and its supply chains. Developing world-class performance measures. Creating an effective performance measures system involves the following steps. Identify the firm's strategic objectives. Develop an understanding of each functional area's set of requirements for achieving strategic objectives. Design and document performance measures for each functional area that adequately track each key required capability and assure the compatibility and strategic focus of the performance measures to be used. In this way, world class can establish strategically oriented performance among each of the functional areas of the firm within the categories of quality, customer service, and then revisit these measures as problems are solved, competition, to more requirements change and as supply chain and firm strategies change. So Randall will continue our topic. Thank you for listening.
Everyone, I am Ronald Vivian L. Aligrado, and I will be reporting about chain performance measurement system. So performance measurement systems for supply chains must effectively link supply chain trading partners to achieve breakthrough performance in satisfying end users. At the local or inter-firm level, performance measures similar to the ones presented in Table 14.1 are required, as you can see in the PPT. In a collaborative supply chain setting, these measures must overlay the entire supply chain to assure that firms are all contributing to the supply chain strategy and the satisfaction of end customers. So, in successful supply chains, members jointly agree on appropriate supply chain performance measures. So, the focus of the system should be on value creation for end customers, since customer satisfaction drives sales for all of the supply chain's members. So, while challenging to implement supply change are indeed pulling it off. So the term driven supply chain networks is the idea is to design supply chains with enough flexibility to respond quickly to changes in the marketplace. So one of the cornerstones of Best Buy's supply chain transformation is performance measurement. So they have installed an integrated business intelligence system that provides internal users and supply chain members with visibility into its business performance, allowing users to view financial and other performance data and perform trend analysis. So for example is problems can be quickly identified and remedied to reduce costs and improve sales. So next is the global perspective. So business today is all about managing complexity. Supply chain excellence is not an option. So the statement from Tom Miller, VP of Bottling Investments, the Coca-Cola Company, sums up why executives with 33 companies that potentially compete for the same customers convene on a regular basis to share tips for improving supply chain performance. So these companies, which include household names such as Coca-Cola, Kraft Foods, Procter & Gamble, and Johnson & Johnson, make up the sub-consumer Packaged Goods Customer Advisory Panel, or CPCAC. So the group is one of 24 industry panels organized by Enterprise Software Market Leader, or SAP. So customers having that type of influence on its product direction, it can be assumed that SAP is developing solutions that are well received in the marketplace. So the value comes from learning from people who already have done some things that you may be trying to do. So that's why we're willing to work with our competitors. So for instance, a major issue for all consumer goods companies is how to build a closer bond with consumers. So the ultimate goal is gaining a better understanding of what types of products customers want and how they want to receive them. So hashing out this topic at CPAC meetings led to the conclusion that SAP should beef up the front office portion of its software suite. So next is the environmental sustainability. So has been a recurring theme throughout this textbook. And as consumers, governments, and business leaders begin to address the need for protecting the environment and reducing greenhouse gas emissions, the demand for products and services will change. So along with regulations impacting how supply chains operate, as a result, supply chain performance must begin to include assessments of environmental performance as discussed in the chapter Opening Supply Chain Management in Action feature for the chemical industry. So ultimately, Green Supply Chain Management, or GSCM, is the objective of an effective supply chain environmental performance system. So the reach of GSCM extends across the organization and its trading partners and includes the processes involved in purchasing, manufacturing, and materials management, so distribution and reverse logistics. So GSCM should promote the sharing of environmental responsibility along the supply chain in each of these areas, such that environmentally sound practices predominate and adverse impacts to global environments are minimized. Today, software is available that enables companies to analyze the carbon footprint of their supply chains and then evaluate design configurations and various options for reducing total carbon emissions. So in many cases, this will also mean lower costs. A number of software suppliers are extending their existing software applications to measure and optimize areas like transportation and inventory management. So with explicit consideration for greening the supply chain, Laurie Goldenhirsch, CEO of California-based green software provider Inviance, explained how this might also help our retailers sell products and so next is specific supply chain performance measures. So to achieve the type of performance alluded to in this chapter, specific measures must be adopted by supply chain trading partners such that performance can be further aligned with supply chain objectives. A number of these are listed below. So number one is the total supply chain management cost. So the cost to process orders, purchase materials, purchase energy, comply with environmental regulations, manage inventories and returns, and manage supply chain finance, planning, and information systems. Number two is supply chain cash to cash cycle time. So the average number of days between paying for raw materials and getting paid for product for the supply chain trading partners. And this measure shows the impact of lower inventories on the speed of cash moving through firms and the supply chain. Number three is the supply chain production flexibility. So the average time required for supply chain members to provide an unplanned sustainable 20% increase in production. So the ability for the supply chain to quickly react to unexpected demand spikes while still operating within financial targets provides tremendous competitive advantage. So one common supply chain practice is to maintain stocks of component parts locally for supply chain customers to quickly respond to unexpected demand increases. So average production flexibility for best-in-class supply chains is from 1 to 2 weeks. Number 4 is the supply chain delivery performance. So the average percentage of orders for the supply chain members that are filled on or before the requested delivery state. So in their top performing supply chains, delivery dates are being met from 94 to 100% of the time. So for average firms, delivery performance is approximately 70 to 80%. Updating customers on the expected delivery dates of orders is becoming a common e-service for many supply chains. Number 5 is the supply chain perfect order fulfillment performance. The average percentage of orders among supply chain members that arrive on time, complete, and damage-free. This is quickly becoming the standard for delivery performance and represents a significant source of competitive advantage for top-performing supply chains and their member companies. Number 6 is the supply chain e-business performance. The average percentage of electronic orders received for all supply chain members. In 1998, only about 2% of all firms' purchase orders were made over the internet. So today, supply chain companies are investing heavily in e-based order receipt systems, marketing strategies, and other forms of communication and research using the internet. Number 7 is the supply chain environmental performance. So the percentage of supply chain trading partners that have become ISO 14000 certified, the percentage of supply chain trading partners that have created a director of environmental sustainability, the average percentage of environmental goals met, the average number of policies adopted to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and the average percentage of carbon footprints that have been offset by sound environmental practices. While these performance indicators may certainly vary by supply chain and industry, the measures here will provide a good starting point for collaboration on supply chain environmental performance. So when combined with the world-class performance measure of Table 14.1, the measures shown below help global supply chain trading partners align themselves with supply chain strategies, so creating competencies that lead to dominant positions in their markets. Perhaps most importantly, this type of performance has translated into approximately 70% higher profits when compared to the average company. So next is the Balanced Scorecard. So the Balanced Scorecard approach to performance measurement was developed in 1992 by Dr. Robert Kaplan and David Norton and representatives from a number of companies as a way to align an organization's performance measures with its strategic plans and goals. So the BSC thus allowed a firm to move away from reliance on merely financial measures, which effectively improve managerial decision making, also referred to as simply scorecarding. So it has become a widely used model, with some 80% of large US businesses either using it or having previously used it, and a smaller but growing percentage of European businesses using it. So nevertheless, the BSC is widely used in helping organizations track performance and identify areas of weakness. Scorecarding is designed to provide managers with a formal framework for achieving a balance between non-financial and financial results across both short-term and long-term planning horizons. So the BSC framework consists of 4 perspectives as shown in figure 14.1. So, as you can see, financial perspective is measures that address revenue and profitability growth, product mix, cost reduction, productivity, asset utilization, and investment strategies. Traditional financial measures are typically used. Number 2 is the Internet business process perspective. Focuses on performance of the most critical internal processes of the organization, including quality, new product development, flexibility, innovative elements of processes, and time-based measures. Number 3 is the customer perspective, measures that focus on customer requirements and satisfaction, including customer satisfaction ratings, reliability, and responsiveness, customer retention, new customer acquisition, customer valued attributes, and customer profitability. And lastly is the learning and growth perspective, measures concentrating on the organization's people, systems, external environment, and including retaining and training employees, enhancing information technology and systems. employee safety and health, and environmental sustainability issues. These perspectives are all linked together using performance measures within each of the four areas. Measurements are developed for each goal in the organization's strategy plan and include both outcome measures and the performance drivers of those outcomes. So in doing this, senior managers can channel a specific set of capabilities within the organization toward achieving the firm's goals. So the BSC can also be utilized by firms in a collaborative supply chain setting by expanding the internal perspective of the scorecard to include interfunctional and partnership perspectives that characterize the supply chain. In this way, for instance, the firm's employees are motivated to view their firm's performance the success of the entire supply chain. Supply chain oriented performance measures such as the ones described earlier can thus be added to the more internally focused measures traditionally used in a balanced scorecard to help the firm as well as their supply chains meet their objectives. So balanced scorecards are being used in the government sector with many positive outcomes. So the web-based scorecards. So today, a number of software applications are available to help design scorecards, so which also link via the web to a firm's enterprise software system. So web-based balanced scorecard applications are also sometimes referred to as dashboards. So they enable users to retrieve data easily from ERP databases and also enable wide access by users at many locations, while providing desired security features. So today, dashboards are being used to track big picture, corporate objectives as well as core process performance and more tactical detailed data. So use of these web-based dashboards allows managers to see real-time progress toward organizational milestones and helps to ensure that decisions remain in sync with the firm's overall strategies. So that's all for my report. Thank you and God bless.